I'm worried about what passes for intimacy nowadays. And it seems like the women, I guess it probably hurts both sides, but the women doing it know the game a little bit better. It's like they know that they have some guy who's writing all their OnlyFans messages. They know that they're not involved in that. But the guy is deluding himself on the other end going, oh, this is my private masturbation pic that I got today. I don't know. That has been something that I fear about those things.
Yeah, I have two responses. One is that, like, you know, the fun study of the story where they gave like the rats heroin and the rats got addicted. And then they put the rats in the joyful world and then the rats no longer wanted heroin. I kind of feel like OnlyFans is not the cause, it's a symptom. Like there's a reason why men want OnlyFans. It's not OnlyFans' fault. Mm-hmm. Like if men weren't starved for intimacy, they wouldn't be going to OnlyFans. Like I don't view OnlyFans as like a necessarily great and healthy thing, but I view it as like sort of like a bandage on a deeper wound. And I'm like, I'm glad that there's a bandage there. I'm like glad we have that. I just wish that the wound. I'm not going to say that you shouldn't like do the kinds of fixes that you can. But like if you want to fix the problem is not OnlyFans. The problem is a deeper thing.
Do you have an idea what that problem is at a deeper level, and if it is solvable more directly?
I mean, there's like things are very complicated. It's not that there's only one explanation for things, but one of the things. Like a grand conspiracy theory, which I don't necessarily have good data to back this up, but I kind of feel like we're in a culture where men are expendable now in a way that women aren't. Like men have always kind of been expendable, but like men would go die in wars. Men used to be useful. Men used to have like clear, coherent sacrifice. Like, you do this like really intense thing that women don't have to do. Like, that's a big thing. Women have to do the whole childbirth and, be like owned or by men or something. I think this is like kind of an equilibrium in which like people sort of, there's the large conceptual like valuing of each other. But now the sacrifice that men has to pay has largely been lifted. Like men aren't dying in wars or fighting bears, but the sacrifice women has to pay, the womb thing, is still going on. We haven't solved that problem yet. And so we disproportionately see the effort that women are putting in and not what men are. And so I think culturally we just are like, why men though? Like what sacrifice are men giving to society in a way that I think is like starting to seep into like our sex dynamics, into like our culture, like woke, and the politics, whatever, like pickup artistry. Like this is why I think we're having like men be such, like why we're in a culture where men are very afraid to act on women. And women are so powerful. I'm very pro women being powerful. Don't get me wrong. I was raised in a horrible conservative environment where women were expected to be housewives. I think I view this world with like a great deal of very personal like pain and hatred. So I'm not like advocating. I'm like very happy about it. But I just think like it comes from sort of like we just happen to have arrived in this thing where like men. My guess is that this is the thing that's leading partially to OnlyFans. Like why men? Now, if men want to have a role. Now we've created the role nicely packaged in a little website where you get like the happy button, the little heroin in your cage. Mm-hmm. It's quite sad. I think we need to invent artificial rooms to fix it.
Yeah. And when I think why men, it's like, well, we have an answer for a subset of men, for the top 10, 20%, like to make a ton of money, be hugely successful. Like we need some of the men, but yeah, it's like, why these men? What is the use for the majority or the bottom section? And you're pointing to in the past is like we still had a lot of labor. We needed these sacrifices in wars. Like there was a role for that person to fulfill, move up, and contribute in a meaningful way. And when there is no game that they can, or it feels like perhaps there's an unwinnable game in front of them and no great war to go die in. There's that section. It's like, why? What are you doing? You're just not
right.
I hear you. And
women are beating out men like college. Like women are getting more educated. They're earning more money. Like women are having like trouble, finding the high quality husband. There's like TikToks about like, why don't men go to therapy? Like there seems to be like this giant cultural thing towards like women are higher quality than men now. I don't think this is an accident. I think this is directly related to why we have OnlyFans. So.
Got it. And so you see OnlyFans like, look, this is not ideal, but this is the market response to a societal ailment that is better than nothing, because without this, it's like, oh, they don't have the pretend girlfriend. Well, then they don't even have that. Right now they have a. Got it. Yeah. Okay. The counter to that would be, well, then they pick themselves up by their bootstraps. They work really hard. They go interact in real life. But you're suggesting, and I think perhaps rightly so, that like there's still going to be a subset of guys that like isn't going to go get the real girlfriend or isn't going to go get
I
this.
also think that this is cruel, like, and a double standard. Like we expect guys to go pull themselves up by their bootstraps in a way that we don't expect women to. Like men, like we don't have general societal sympathy for men. And I think that this is also a backfire because it sort of removes agency from women. Like if men have the level of agency that we expect them to handle their own problems, like by contrast, this means that we expect society to handle women, so then women don't have the agency themselves. So I think it's like a shitty thing that hurts both people. Like I think if we're going to be consistent as a culture, I'm not saying we could move the consistency to a completely different frame, but I'm saying if we want to be consistent with what we have now, we should be like, dude, we should help the men. We shouldn't just like, it's not like their fault really. Like culture, society has let them down. It's like our responsibility to help you.
Do you have an idea what that help might look like?
Artificial wombs.
Oh God.
I get like a little conspiracy brain on this right now. I think like partially this is just like an emergent phenomenon from like our like post scarcity and post tech. Like if you start like fucking with society's norms from an evolved species, you're going to get like really weird shit where there's imbalances going on. My guess is like we need to like remove the thing that like we removed men's sacrifice. Now we need to remove women's, because otherwise all like women are just going to be considered to be more valuable.
Got it. We removed men's sacrifice, their reason, their purpose, their unique contribution, even if they're at the bottom of the hierarchy. But women still have their thing that men are desperate for and need and want. And so you have these, got it.
Well, it's also like, I think we would, as a society, would handle men with a lot more respect if they were off dying in wars.
Well, I mean, I see that in Ukraine, which is like, oh, why men? It's like, we know now,
Yeah, we know now. We're tied. There's some like visceral contact with like, why men. We need to feel the why men. And we just don't. We have the visceral contact with why women, but no visceral contact with why men. I'm not saying we should go back to killing men in wars.
Yeah. I know. I was just thinking somebody's going to think that. Yeah, what I was going to jump in and say is it sounds like, and maybe this isn't what you're suggesting, but what I would hope in my, weirdly spiritual Buddhist way is that when we can remove the why men to fight in wars, why women to make the next generation, it's like, can we just have, as cheesy as this sound, people who are companions to one another with technology supporting them? I guess this is like a technology utopia where people are free to... the answer to why men is because I love and like that person and I want to be near them, not because they provide me the resources that I need to continue my survival on this planet.
Well, my guess is that this is less happening on an individual level and more like a general societal one. Like, I don't think people are personally being like, why men? People are reciting narratives that have like come from culture about like, men should cry more, men should go to therapy, men should like be less shitty, right? Like people didn't just sit down and think those things independently. They're fed to us from like the general milieu, or how you pronounce that word. And where did the milieu come from? I think the milieu just like slowly evolved based on like tiny, like billions of tiny observations of the why men problem. So,
got it. No, that helps me a lot, because the thing that you answered for me, which you answered right at the beginning, is OnlyFans didn't make the problem. OnlyFans is a Band-Aid on top of the problem. Yeah, is it the cleanest Band-Aid? No. Is it the ideal solution? No, but you're not going to fix the problem by shutting down OnlyFans or shutting down these things or telling the people who do this that this isn't right. The problem is that there is this need, this demand for this kind of service because it is not available elsewhere. Depressing. No, but I appreciate the insight. Let's go ahead.
There's also, I don't know if we want to keep going down a road, but I had like 2 points. And the other one was, you were saying like, isn't it sad that like you have these men who are kind of desperate for connection, and then the women are just sort of, maybe using an agency or something. And I am, so on one hand, I'm quite sympathetic to this because like, I kind of know what this is like. It's a very asymmetric thing. But on the other hand, like, to be fair, guys don't care about you. Like, this is a hard truth I had to learn. Like, when I first started doing sex work, I was like, oh, I'm just going to be, like I said, I'm going to be genuine, and guys will see that and like me. And I rapidly learned that, oh, no, they don't like me. They like what they want to see is like their fantasy fulfillment girl. They don't want a real girl. They want like literally like the fakest possible version. And so eventually I was like, oh, this is like really dehumanizing for me. Like it's not about me. And once I realized that, then I stopped having like moral compunctions about it. I was like, fine, like if you don't want to see me, I'm not going to give me to you. Like you just want this thing that doesn't exist, whatever.
Thank you for saying that. You just drove home exactly what I was stumbling around, which is, it's dehumanizing on both sides. And and you know, without who comes first. But yeah, totally. They're there for, like you described it, their fantasy toy that makes them feel superior to other men and, you know, loves taking her top off to do this and has no needs and doesn't need you to listen about her day or her family unless it's something that you're thrilled with. And on the other end, it's like, this is someone who can give me money. Yeah, I see that as the thing that we would, I don't know if it's avoidable, but people using one another as means to ends instead of as, you know, ends in themselves. So like you said, you shut up genuine, authentic with parts of you that might match what they want and parts of you that don't. And they're like, no, I'll take the pristine, perfect, you know, nonstop orgasm, loves to take her top off for me package. And you're like, fine, you can pay for that because that's not me. Got it. Yeah. This is a big question and you don't have to have an answer. Like so OnlyFans is a representation of that mutual dehumanization. And so are many other industries. I don't mean to, like, so much of the world is that. How does that stop?
I don't know. Like on one hand, it kind of doesn't. Like on one hand, this is just built into us. Like we want the unreasonable thing. It's just going to be there until we can like modify our own brains. But on the other hand, so to be fair, I still try my best to be genuine when I can. I'm like looking for openings. Like if a guy gives just a single hint that he like wants me as a person, I'm like, I'm on it. I'm ready. So it's like, there's still space in there, but I think escorting was way better, way healthier for me. In my opinion, it's like the most healthy version of sex work. Cause like all the other shit is like asymmetrical and it's just naturally like the guys are trying to game getting the most out of the girls and the girls are trying to game getting the most money out of the guys. But like escorting is just two people sitting down for dinner, having a one-on-one conversation. And it's like the most like close to normal human interaction that you can get. And I think thus like avoids a lot of the pitfalls that emerge from online sex work shit. And I felt the most connected to people when I was with them in person. And I enjoyed the sex the most, the sexual experiences, even if it like wasn't great all the time. It just felt healthy. I came out of that feeling good about myself. Whereas with like OnlyFans, a lot of the time, a lot of the people who message me, I come out of it being like, this is a job. This is a job that I'm doing because I'm thinking about how much I like money, right?
Yeah.
But this party was awesome. And I just like, I feel like in my ideal world, it would be like, we would just be subsidizing escorts.